We often wonder what it might feel like for the world to end. For some major cataclysmic event, the kind of experiences we typically only read about or see in movies, and how that would impact us, how we might survive, and what might happen to our loved ones, all whilst actively living through the fall of an era and the dawn of a new age as we speak.
Look around. We're not tourists. We're refugees. Ugh! I'm sick of eating rotten food, sleeping in the dirt. I'm tired of living like this. Aren't we all?
Our global collective is currently in the midst of the fall of shadow power, a term I once heard in a TikTok scroll that perfectly depicted the way in which our society has been governed under a fear-based mentality. However, it is the individual's relationship to fear that truly has been in confrontation with the universe.
How awful. What does it say? It says, abandon hope.
How can we abandon hope? That's all we have.
And the evidence of this shift is rooted in individual actions, striving toward a common rebellion. In this video, we will be looking at how Avatar: The Last Airbender illustrates the art of overcoming global shadow power through the embracing of your personal revolutionary life path. This powerful story of rebellion by way of personal destiny highlights the ways in which the soul guides us as a part of the collective to play a role in balancing or rebalancing the world. This is Channeling Chinez.
Hope isn't going to get us into Ba Sing Se, and it's not going to find Appa. We need to focus on what we're doing right now, and that's getting across this pass.
In Book 2, Team Avatar embarks on a journey of embracing personal fears and making attempts to overcome the insurmountable, all while harboring fresh wounds of loss and fear.
Don't worry, Aang. We'll find Appa.
It's such a big city.
This is a masterclass in resilience training and a breakdown in how shadow power appears in our environment and seeks to subjugate, harm, or destroy. The fall of well-established power structures is a telltale sign of new worldly changes and an opportunity to make new enlightened world leaders. Those who are dynamic, thoughtfully nuanced, true diamonds of leadership created under the pressure of the active threat of erasure.
Today, this war is finally over!
And all our visions led us right here,
Okay, so where's here?
the center.
The episode The Swamp in Book 2 perfectly highlights our relationship with fear. We as human beings mostly fear the unknown. It's one of the pitfalls of consciousness and having the knowing that lurking around any corner could be the big bad. We know what it's like to feel and intellectualize the sensation of fear, but typically nothing bothers us more than not knowing. The swamp is the embodiment of the unknown, and it also is the antithesis of having deep trauma, pain, or yearnings buried unbeknownst to us in our subconscious mind.
Look, we were all just scared and hungry, and our minds were playing tricks on us. That's why we all saw things out here.
You saw something too?
I thought I saw Yue, but that doesn't prove anything. Look, I think about her all the time. And you saw Mom, someone you miss a lot.
What about me?
This kind of relationship to the unknown is what breeds shadow power. It creates the atmosphere that suggested threats are just as powerful as actual threats.
What's going on with this city? Why is everyone here so scared to talk about the war?
It also supports the notion that the unseen is not to be understood, but only to be evaded.
War? Scared? What do you mean?
I can feel you shaking.
This can keep people paralyzed in compliance.
I don't know. I'm not a political science student.
However, it is also our subconscious unmet needs that can play a role in preventing us from feeling strong enough to face these truths. While Katara's subconscious is deeply haunted by the pain of the loss of her mother,
I can't believe...
Sokka's subconscious mind is still unpacking the trauma of losing Princess Yue.
You didn't protect me.
Meanwhile, Aang's subconscious is yearning for that earthbending teacher and someone to teach him how to ground his energy, which all comes through in this episode in the swamp. The only cure for this is facing the said unknown and realizing that even if it was scary, you still did it.
You will not treat a Kyoshi warrior this way.
But you're not a Kyoshi warrior, are you?
The masculine energy of structure, authority, and power has its own relationship with fear. In fact, it relies on it. It harkens back to a point made in the last segment. It needs the reassurance that suggested threats are just as real as actual threats.
What are you doing here? You have to leave immediately or we'll all be in terrible trouble.
The takedown of Ba Sing Se highlights the fragility of this framework when it comes to Long Feng versus Azula.
They haven't made up their minds. They're waiting to see how this is going to end.
What are you talking about?
If power and fear were unrelated, then Azula and her tactical crew would have been no threat to the sheer number of skilled Dai Li agents. I mean, think about it realistically, and I mean more realistically than 100 men versus one gorilla.
Now, 10 out of 100, I don't think that's that big of a deal. Some of y'all are going to die because that gorilla is definitely getting his licks in, okay? That's just that. Now let's talk strategy. I think this is very doable if you guys all rush in on him at once. It never gave one at a time. It never gave single file line.
Logically, that amount of skilled earthbenders could have easily dismantled one firebender, even one of the best, one earthbender, and 2 non-benders.
The fact is, they don't know which one of us is going to be sitting on that throne, and which one is going to be bowing down. But I know, and you know.
However, it is the existence of the idea of a loss of power that served as the core driver behind the decisions of the Dai Li, and how they ultimately followed through.
You've beaten me at my own game.
Don't flatter yourself. You were never even a player.
Their perceived power over common citizens was more important than the actual power they had to take down both Team Azula and Long Feng.
Look, I'm just a minor government official. I've waited 3 years to get this house. I don't want to get into trouble.
Get in trouble with who?
Shh. Listen, you can't mention the war here. And whatever you do, stay away from the Dai Li.
This highlights how shadow power, fear, and the idea of consequence can create a people with a broken sense of internal power. Luckily, the universe is always trying to awaken this power within us by way of triggering us along our life path.
Come on! You'll be fine!
No! I'm tired of running!
The Book 2 season finale, The Crossroads of Destiny, is a pivotal trigger point for each character's individual revolution. The 5 themes that each of the main characters embark on in their individual crossroads of destiny can serve as possible benchmarks for you in discovering how you can step into your destiny path and your role in balancing your life and the environment. Unblocking internal fears. Aang's visit with Guru Patik forced him to unblock internal fears in order for him to master the Avatar state. While it did trigger his ability to hold the Avatar state frequency, it was actually his gateway into deeper mastery of his emotional world. It allowed him to address the idea of failure and understanding that he was more than his mistakes.
What are you most afraid of? Let your fears become clear to you.
And that he was more than just being the Avatar. He was truly a soul reincarnated here to experience humanity and change it for the better, as he had done so many lifetimes before. This renewed his faith in his own life path and story, and allowed him to further evolve before confronting the Fire Lord. But true to life's form, this often comes after a period of shadow breakdown, which we saw after Book 2. Without his defeat at Ba Sing Se, Aang would not have had the emotional capacity to digest possible failure, reframe that failure, and become a more enlightened, equipped version of himself and of an avatar.
I'm not gonna make it. I failed.
You haven't failed, eh?
I don't know.
You already saved the world. And you'll save the world again.
My sister! Where are they keeping Katara?
In the crystal catacombs of Old Ba Sing Se.
Knowing when to step back, or embracing your divine femininity. For the most part, Katara had led the group primarily up until this point.
Everyone single file. Aang, get some rags. Sokka, water. We're getting out of this desert and we're gonna do it together. Some of us might fetch water while someone else might set up the fire pit or put up the tent. Toph, I need you to make an earth tent. A big one. Even Momo does his fair share. Aang, get up. Everybody, hold hands. We can do this. It's called a baby, and I helped her deliver plenty of those too.
The majority of the responsibility of keeping everyone together was heavily on her shoulders. She was the one cooking every meal, and she was the one who kept everyone alive in the desert. My interpretation of her experience in Ba Sing Se is a manifestation of what it feels like to embrace your divine feminine energy, to allow others to save you. This was her time to step in her divine femininity and to learn how to let others lead, which would eventually aid her on the final day of confrontation in being able to support Zuko without feeling like she's failing by not doing everything. Overcoming self-imposed limitations. The concept of limitations had always been a trope in Toph's life, one that she vehemently rejected. However, when it came to losing Appa in the desert, Toph recognized her own internal limitations and how it feels to really be held back by something. Her challenge during the crossroads of destiny was to address self-imposed limitations by breaking herself out of the metal box.
Come on, metal fudge. Woo! Toph, you rule.
By figuring out how to metal bend herself out of the box, reminded her of her own limitlessness.
It's the real deal. I am the greatest earthbender in the world.
And I believe it even caused her to later perfect her sand bending, realizing that internalizing the limitations of bending was only holding her back. This helped her play a critical role during Sozin's Comet, and ultimately become one of the greatest assets to Team Avatar. Addressing wounded relationships. At Sokka's crossroads of destiny, he stepped forward into his divine masculine energy by addressing wounded relationships. And while his divine masculine journey had been triggered once his father left, tested by Batu, it still was waiting for affirmation from his father.
How can we call ourselves men?
I gotta pee.
What should I do, Dad?
Aren't you listening? I said the rest of you men get ready for battle.
As Sokka traveled to Chameleon Bay and reconnected with his father, he would be given an even greater gift by Hakoda, the gift of self-affirming, an understanding that he never had something to prove to his father, and that he always had the ability to embody the man he wanted to be. Facing this relationship allowed him to move forward with clarity and later address his own worthiness and self-mastery in Book 3.
I thought you had changed!
I have changed.
Facing karmic challenges head on. After experiencing an ego death at Lake Laogai, true to life's form, just when you're starting to feel a little bit better about your station in life, you're typically tested again by the same triggers to measure your growth. In this case, Zuko's setback in Ba Sing Se, or relapse, was actually like a slingshot spiritually, bringing him back to his truth before catapulting him into his ultimate identity shift and reclamation. Zuko's journey in and of itself is a detailed point of view of what it looks like to walk through your trauma as opposed to running from it. While there are so many additional elements to the fall of shadow power, embracing your personal destiny is one of the few things each of us can do to take control of our destiny and the fate of the world. If you enjoy videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Help me continue to create content to help you master your inner world. Thank you for watching Channeling Chinez. Follow me at Official Chinez on TikTok, Substack, and Instagram. And I will see you in the next episode.